Not sure what to make of all this. I wanted to become a servant of Sigmar so I could bring justice to the lands of the Empire and save people from bloody witches. Not ride out to distant outposts to do noble stuff. But the Inquisitor seems sure this will all lead to something important, so I guess I need to have some faith. Bertha certainly goes on about it a lot. Not really sure about the Inquisitor's friends either, if I'm honest. This Kruger fella seems alright, but does he actually have the strength to get things done, or is he just the sort who hides away in the shadows? And then there's Lady Wittgenstein. Something very odd about her. Don't act like no noble I've ever seen. Then of course there's the wizard. I'll be watching that one very intently. I don't care what the law says. He makes one wrong move, and I'll cave in his skull. After the Inquisitor orders it, of course. It's not my place yet to make the decisions. Got to remember that I serve Sigmar, and after that, the Empire and the Inquisitor. My hammer will be ready whatever we face, and I'll have faith. This is Red Moon Roleplaying. And so, finally, the three of you are led through this picket line to that tall building in the north. The atmosphere here is not great. It's muddy. It's smelly. You see again these soldiers just walking past, being respectful. But again, Gerda, you keep seeing looks of suspicion. Mainly at, of course, Lady Marguerite and Kruger, but some even at you as well. The state of the place is not like the city of Middenheim at all. Some of the uniforms are grubby, some of the weapons look a little rusted, and the picket line doesn't look like it has nearly as many men as you'd think on a wall that size.
As I'm walking through here, looking at that and looking at the state of things, I try and recollect. What are they all really protecting against? Some sort of attack from the Middle Mountains? Who are they expecting an attack from?
Well, from the information you've been given, just a little east are the forces of the arch-enemy, Chaos. They could come at any moment. And yet, from what you were told from the Baroness, this has been the situation for like 50, 60, maybe even 100 years?
A sort of stalemate that just happens here, and they're just waiting for an attack to come. And of course, if things haven't happened for such a long time, then it's nothing strange about them being undersupplied or weapons being rusted. Of course, they're going to focus their efforts on where things are actually happening. But if something were to come, that could be bad. I look up at the sky again, and I'm thinking about what I found. And I'm thinking about that relative of Siegfrieda, the Dagmar von Wittgenstein, and his ruminations on the stars and talk of warpstone and things falling from the skies. I wonder if they fell down somewhere here. I wonder if not, then if they are being gathered somewhere. Is that where Dar is emanating from?
It does occur to you, Gunnar, at some point you could always go and look. The palisade is not far from you. Probably takes 10-20 minutes to get up to that wall, if you're allowed, that is.
I would be interested in doing that, actually. We'll see where this initial talk goes, and I'll try and get it in there that I'd like a little look for myself, just to see what's going on.
And so you are led into that northmost building. It's hot in here, and you look around and see several large long tables. This is probably some sort of communal barracks area, or rather a food area. You think most of the other buildings probably are the actual barracks for most of the soldiers, although it occurs to you they're going to be quite tightly packed in. If you've seen at least 100 men so far, maybe even 200. Could be even more. This is a proper military installation, and yet it does seem a bit run down, a bit dusty. You are then led up some stairs by more guards and led into a simple-looking room. It's got a wooden table, there's some food out, some lamb, some fruit. There's tapestries on the walls, weapons, seals of the House Karsberger, and there's a woman waiting for you. She is currently dressed in some simple armor and has on her person a large spear. She's also wearing some sort of necklace that seems to be a bird in front of a sun. Would anyone like to roll Law Reichland? Give yourself a +10.
My first success of the game.
I did succeed as well.
I failed badly. I don't know this kind of stuff.
In that case, both Siegfrieda and Gurner, eagles, suns. This woman could be a priestess of Myrmidia, the goddess of strategy. She seems to have her hair cut short and has a slightly dusky look to her, possibly a stallion or Tillion. She comes forward and bows very formally and low before you once again, Lady Siegfrieda, although she does do a smaller nod of respect to the others. Lady Marguerite von Wittgenstein, pleasure. Greetings, welcome to the picket. And this is, forgive me, Kruger Hoffman and Heinrich Schilf?
I'm Kruger Hoffman. This here is, and I'll look to Gurner to introduce himself.
No, I'm Gurner Stark. I come from the Grand Guild of Wizards in Middenheim.
Ah, I see. Grand Guild, a wizard. Yes.
Yes, Herr Schilf is currently walking among the men, making sure that there's no weaknesses in the army, such as his interests.
I see. Well, I hope they are behaving themselves. The Inquisitor's power here is not quite the same, I imagine, as it would be in Altdorf.
And you might be a cleric of Myrmidia, if I'm not mistaken.
Priestess, sir. Hildegund Fraz.
Hildegund?
I'm a priestess of Myrmidia.
Well, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Hildegund, priestess of Myrmidia. As, well, we have all been introduced to each other. Do you hold command over this picket line?
Not at all, my lady, not at all.
Oh, could you tell us who does?
My lady, the commander, Emmeline von Karlsberger, the one you're here to see?
Yes. I'm sorry, I was of the understanding we were being taken straight to her. And you know how it is. Always have to pass through several layers before you get to the person you want. Maybe you could enlighten us as to the current situation. We've heard all kinds of reports of imminent attacks, or the fact that isn't the case at all, and that the line is utterly stable.
The woman is very quiet for a second. None of you need to roll an intuition check. She is wondering how best not to offend you, Siegfrieda, because you clearly are acting very strangely, as you are fully aware that often happens in these things. But for the first time, this person isn't going to insult you to your face or even say anything rude. They're actually trying to be very, very, very polite. So there's a long pause. Of course, my lady. Imminent attack. No, I'm sorry, I do not know where you have got that information from. There is no imminent attack here, and nothing unusual. We are, as we always are, here ready to defend the Empire, here to defend the picket line, here to do our duty. I apologize, I don't know where you would have heard this information.
Oh, word in Middenheim. Bad gas travels fast in a small town, as they say.
They certainly do.
This is true. I can understand. Some of the soldiers have heard about your arrival as well. Rumors, of course. Probably largely irrelevant. I try not to pay heed to rumors myself.
Well, what do you pay heed to? Have you noticed anything particular as of late? People moving through, or any other indications of something changing?
No.
Well, alright then. Well, perhaps then you can point us in the right direction so that we get to meet with Commander Emmeline.
Well, she will be here momentarily. Forgive me, she needs some time to get ready to meet you.
Alright. And do you also serve as her... What exactly comes with the duties of being a priestess of Myrmidia?
You're not familiar with my faith?
Not stumbled. I'm familiar with the Sigmarites and lately also of Ulrich.
She then smiles very, very subtly at this.
It would be strange if in the lands where Sigmar and Ulrich are most worshipped you were not familiar with them.
Right, of course. So, Myrmidia then?
Well, Midria. Perhaps it is true she is more popular down south, yes? Far south. I am from Estalia, originally. Although my father was a Altdorfer.
I see. I come from a village not far from Altdorf, in Northolt, but I don't think you've heard of it.
No. But to answer your question, as a representative of the goddess of strategy, I try my best to give good strategic advice to the commander.
Oh, right. Goddess of strategy. That's where I've heard it before.
Yes. And she sort of just pats her spear. We met a long time ago, fighting greenskins.
Oh, you've actually fought greenskins, have you?
Well, of course. I'm a priestess of Myrmidia. Do you think we all sit behind desks and... We are not like the Varenans, no disrespect.
Where was this? Where did you go to actually meet them? Face on?
In the mountains. They are common. Are they not common from where you are in the Empire?
Are there any greenskins around Altdorf?
Not near Altdorf, but in the woods goblins are common, and in the mountains orcs come down. You maybe haven't met any yourself, thankfully, but greenskin hordes are a common hazard, although normally they are kept at the borders of the Empire. The Emperor keeps you safe, after all.
Well, luckily, the Empire has kept me safe enough from such attacks, though I keep hearing stories about them, so clearly they must exist. It's just, I think you're the first person I've actually met that have been in a straight combat with them. What are they like?
Terrible. Awful. We must do everything we can to stop them destroying our lands.
Fierce foes, then?
Extremely. You could say that, yes.
I nod to myself, thinking about this.
Kruger, you're waiting and waiting. No need to make a roll here. For once, Siegfrieda's right. This is bureaucracy. You've now been met by two people, and apparently they knew you were coming. You're deliberately being left waiting.
Well, that is interesting. Question is if they're trying to hide something or if they're just hoping that we would give up, but they can't expect that. I mean, we've come quite some ways. They must know that we're not going to stop until we have gotten to see the people that we need to see. So I will just speak up then and say, yes, this is all very interesting, and yes, fighting greenskins sounds very dangerous. But look, we are here on on a task that needs to be done, and we really would appreciate being allowed to meet the person that we're supposed to meet now. So if you might be able to hurry things along a little bit.
Patience is a virtue. Sir, you will have to wait. That's not a problem, is it? There is food here for you.
Oh, that's all nice and well. If we're waiting anyway, would you mind... I would like to see the palisades. I would like to understand and get a lay of the land for a bit. You being the priestess of strategies, surely you have lots of experience with such things.
If my lady gives permission, of course.
Does she?
As in me?
No, my lady. Forgive me. My lady. Again, she looks at you. No need to make a roll, Siegfrieda. You are utterly baffling this individual. You are not acting like a noble does.
Well, maybe not a noble where she comes from.
Well, maybe you should go ask her then. So we can see if that will be possible, and you can maybe ask the lady to come and see us also, because this is all interesting, but we do have things to do and places to be.
She nods and moves to depart. You catch a look just as she leaves, Kruger. She thinks you are a rude individual. She wasn't able to hide that.
No, that's fine. I was deliberately quite rude because I did need to stop her wasting her time.
30 more minutes pass, for finally the doors at the far end of this room open. A woman enters. She is currently dressed in almost full plate armor, although not quite. It does, after all, take time to get into the full armor of the Empire, but she's wearing as much as she can to be still comfortable. She is cloaked in red and has the sigil of her house on her armor. She looks to be about in her mid-30s. Long dark hair, squarish nose, and a little bit of a scar on her left side of her face. But otherwise, she does carry herself as most nobles would. She comes before you, Lady Siegfrieda, and gives a short, respectful nod. Hi, Lady Wittgenstein.
That's me.
On behalf of my house and all Carlsbergers, we welcome you to the picket. I hope your journey was pleasant and that you have been met with reasonable hospitality. I have presented some things for you. Hi. So welcome to my home and the picket.
Everyone has been quite kind and accommodating, including your priestess here. Incredibly useful. We have been made comfortable. However, our reasons for travelling here aren't for our comfort. So, would you object to our getting straight to the business of our coming here?
She squints. Everyone can make an intuition roll here.
I have actually sat down to eat some food, and after eating quite a lot and growing tired, I've fallen asleep on a chair.
I fail, so I will actually use then a point of fortune because I would like to succeed with something today. That is, unfortunately, another failure, so no good.
I also failed, I'm afraid, but I will. I'll spend the point to. Let's go reroll. Let's see. Oh, another failure. Well, today is a session of failures.
Then, on all failures, this woman gives you a very pointed look, all three of you. But you're not sure what it means. Suspicion, fear, anger, boredom. Could be anything, really. She's definitely thinking something. Hi, we can get straight to it. Why not? All right. She goes to sit herself at the table and begins picking at some meat. You're here to give us a warning or a message on behalf of the Graf. What is it?
Kruger, would you be so kind?
I stare at someone else sitting down by the table as well, and I look up and realize that there's a bit of drool on my face, and I embarrassingly wipe it away and pretend to sit as if I've been there all along and very actively taking part in this.
We've had quite a lot of issues in Middenheim with a group of ne'er-do-wells called the Yellow Fang. They have been stealing, smuggling, murdering, doing all kinds of bad things. And we understand that as part of their plans, they were looking to do some kind of smuggling to this particular location. And given what trouble they were able to make happen in Middenheim, well, I fear that they might be able to cause quite a lot of commotion in a place like this. So the Baroness dispatched us to look into the situation, make sure that everything was all right, and make sure that there was no trace of Yellow Fang activity here.
I see. Well, good news. I've never heard of this Fang of Yellow, and there are no smuggling operations happening here, so I suppose you can finish up and go home.
But you do realize that we must investigate a little bit more thoroughly than that. It's been a long journey after all, and the Baroness expects us to come back with something clearer than that, yes?
Really? You need to poke around, look around for things, like you did from what I've heard of you in Middenheim, where you conveniently showed up and saved the day for the Todbringer family.
Yes.
Exactly like that.
Well, of course, you understand that I'm going to need some proof then, that you have, because I'm not just going to let people I don't know wander around my fortifications spying on things.
Oh, you think we're spies now? I stand up at this point. May I remind you that I am Lady von Wittgenstein, and 2 of the 3 of us within this room are the heroes of Middenheim, and Gurner's no slouch. Who on earth would we be spying for, my Lady Commander?
Oh my goodness, you're right. No idea. It's not like you're working for the Topbringers who've been stealing my family's land for the last couple hundred years. But you're right, no, and you are, yes, Lady Wittgenstein. I've heard. Apparently you are a runaway noble who left your own lands to ruin. Apparently. Is that not true?
Oh, you are very well informed for someone stuck out in the middle of nowhere, aren't you?
Gossip spreads. You are all famous. Except this individual. She points at you, Gerner.
My apologies. I am Gerner Stark of the Wizards Guild in Middenheim. I would not estimate that you would welcome one of my kind, because I rarely get a welcome where I show up, but as it happens, I have some information that could be of interest, and we know that the situation, of course, is delicate between the two houses of Karstberger and Tordbringer. We do not want to come in between any of you and your business. If anything, we would love to help ease the tension. As things are, we have found information that some of Karstberger's supplies have recently shown up in a village called Unterfraus, and it is our belief that even your, house's belongings are being smuggled somehow into the Middle Mountains. We wish to break this chain so that we can stop, the archenemy gaining from our and your house's own efforts.
There's a pause as you mention this, and she does raise an eyebrow. She looks to Hildegund, and Hildegund does look surprised. Sorry, what? You have proof that some... What do you mean some of my property has been stolen?
From what we understand, it's, kegs with your particular mark on it. As you are aware, there is one more of the heroes of Middenheim, so-called, and, that one being the Inquisitor. He recently visited the village of Unterfraus, where he has found these kegs with your noble house's mark on, and the whole place was abandoned. We have reason to believe that, this might too be the work of the archenemy, or this yellow fang that is somehow connected to them.
She scrunches her nose a little, takes a swig of wine. Okay, and you have proof of that. That, I admit, would be troubling, but do you actually have proof? Because I have not been informed of any missing property, so if you're saying someone in my retinue is lying to me, I would like some proof, please.
And I just rack my brain. How could I possibly give any proof at this point? While we don't have any of these kegs with us, because obviously they're heavy material, I don't see why it would hurt you that we were looking about and trying to help solve this problem.
Well, if you actually are here to do what you say you are, it wouldn't hurt me at all, would it? Aye, but if you're actually here to undermine me and undermine my lands, as the Topbringers have done many times before, then, you tell me. Really? You are not at all aware of the situation? How convenient.
And not any one of us, I look at the others for backup, would be interested in working more or less for one house. We're not politicians. We're here for the sake of the Empire.
Two of you are politicians. This one is some sort of commissioner for a newly formed task force for the Graph, and this one is a noble. I will admit I don't know why you're here, wizard, but could I make a guess? Grey robes? You're not a Grey Guardian, are you?
Well spotted. I am indeed a Shadowmancer.
Shadowmancers known for their duplicity and spy work. Just saying.
But also for doing the work of the Empire, not for houses and small political games.
The woman squints her nose again. You don't need to make a roll, Gerner. You do feel you started on a good foot there. She did react when you said that some of her things had been stolen from her. So you do feel at least you've gained one little bit of insight here. The woman looked back to you, Kruger. So that's it then, that's your proof. This one, a barrel or something you can't replicate. and you have nothing else that actually proves that me and my men are compromised here.
Do we have anything else, any documents or the like that would prove something like that?
Not really. This place has come up as a name, but that's it. You really are thinking this is a situation where you somehow need to convince this person that you are here to help. You think that's the issue. You are being met with the hostility of two noble houses and a long feud.
What we have is the mentions from our investigations where this place has come up. And that is enough for us to want to look into this. We're not interested in furthering the cause of the Toddbringers. We are simply here to put a stop to what the Yellow Fang are trying to do. Because if they are able to succeed here, they can bring back trouble to Middenheim, and that would hurt us yet again. So that is the only reason that we are here. I swear on that.
She squints. What would you like to roll here, Kruger? A charm roll? A leadership roll?
Let's go with charm.
Would anyone like to assist Kruger on this occasion?
I would love to assist, but how does that work in this game?
He will get a +10. How do you assist, Gurner, then, as you see Kruger trying to come up with a final thing to say here? He clearly is trying to prove the earnestness of your party to this woman who is very suspicious.
So, was there a list of names on that note that we found in the house?
Several locations, Unterfraus, Brasskeep, other villages that you've passed through on the way. That's all you've been able to truly get at this point.
I will add, there's been several murders recently, all indicating and pointing towards this Yellow Fang, and the only trace that we have that we're following at this point is this list of names and what we believe is the supply line, and what I believe, and also the Inquisitor, is affecting your particular wares along with many others in the city, and I believe it is our common interest to root this out.
Indeed. Indeed, it is as Gurner says. That is truly why we are here. And I roll a 31 under 55 as it is with support.
She considers you for a moment. All three of you, she looks at you, Gurner. Well, at least one of you has some manners. You, Lady Wittgenstein, are exactly as I always thought a Reichland noble would be, walking in here, demanding things of me.
Yes, that is what my title permits me to do, and I am sorry that also often compels me to overstep. I apologize. I should have treated you with the respect your title deserves.
I, after all, am a lady and a commander, just in case you weren't aware.
In that case, the next time I see you, I will bow twice.
That's not how it is. She then smirks a little. But then again, I've never cared too much for etiquette. As for you, counsel, or whatever you are, commissioner, not here to serve the Toddbringers. So you're telling me it's not true that you yourself have apparently marched through the streets, praising the Toddbringer name, holding up their flags high. That's what I've been told. Seems like you're serving them to me, no offense. Kruger, you've definitely not done that.
No. I do not know what to say. We are legitimately only here to try to help and to put a stop to the Yellow Fang. That is truly all that we're trying to do. There is no ulterior motive.
No, I assure you, I know you have no reason to like me. We have no designs on anything political. The reason we are acclaimed as heroes, whether we like it or not, is because we did some good, a rare mote of good in Middenheim, because we are adept at spotting where corruption lies and then rooting it out. And we're offering you that help. Yes, we have been told to come this way, but if it truly is that we find that there's nothing here we can do, then we will turn around and go back the way we came. We're not here to usurp you, destabilize you, or anything like that.
I can't help but feel you're all being far more polite now that I've demonstrated you can't just push me around. Interesting. Alright. It's about the morning right now. You have till the evening. You are going to find proof. Actual proof. Not hearsay or gossip. I want actual evidence. You have the day. If you cannot find it, then I will respectfully ask you to leave. And if they wish to send more people, they can. But we will be... Well, I'm hoping that won't be necessary if you truly are here, as you say, peacefully, and this is not all a scheme.
Well, that should be sufficient. We will get started right away.
She makes the stand and leaves without another word. As she does so, the priestess comes forward and bows low. Thank you. Please forgive my lady. She is under a lot of pressure at the moment, stress, and perhaps should have left slightly more polite, Lady Wittgenstein.
I will look at her and say nothing.
And with that, this woman turns to you, Free. Very well, then. How can I assist you?
Well, we have heard that the Yellow Fang might be trying to do something here, so we need to know. Perhaps we can have a look at shipping manifests, speak to anyone who might be dealing with any goods coming and going. Perhaps that might be a good place to start. I'll look to the others to see if they have any ideas.
And I would still like to have a look up at the palisade and see if I can learn anything through my particular means.
Well, yes, and I was about to say the same. Walking the palisade, having the opportunity to speak to any of the officers or indeed soldiers may give us a great insight. Sometimes the people on the ground don't tell the people on high what they've seen for fear of being rebuked or called a coward, that kind of thing.
At this point, you notice Erica has just sniffed her way to some of the food on that table and began helping herself.
I'll let Erica have a little, but I don't want her stealing soldiers' food.
Then you will gently chide her away. She'll whine a little, but obey.
It's alright, we have food for her back in the cart.
The priestess looks at the dog for a moment and smiles before saying, All right, very well then. We don't really have shipping manifests, sir, but the quartermaster, Willis Habbick, would be the one who would be aware of our supply situation.
Well, that's a place as good as any to start.
And before that, then, I can escort you to the picket, Gurner and Lady Wittgenstein. You say you wish to talk to the soldiers there and look out?
If it is not overstepping to do so.
No. You have convinced my lady that you are here for the reasons you say you are. I am personally glad. The gossip about you has been unusual, if I'm honest. It doesn't quite seem to match up.
Well, if they think that we are normally walking through the streets and shouting out the glory of your enemy's house, that is quite an outrageous thing to say. It's very strange why anyone would think these things.
At this, she shrugs. I do not know. I try myself not to listen to idle gossip, but obviously, the reputation of the heroes of Middenheim has arrived here. There's been many, many stories. And forgive me again, Lady Wittgenstein. The truth is, unfortunately, things are tense between the Todbringers and the Carlsbergers. There's a lot of tension. I do not know if you are aware, but once long ago, the Graf, the Elector Count of the province, was actually the Carlsbergers, not the Todbringers.
Well, I was not aware, but perhaps it would put your lady's mind at ease, if indeed she's worried about my loyalties, to know that my family is not even from this kingdom.
Well, the Reichland, no? That is a whole different story. Things are a little simpler in Estalia. You are either serving one king or one queen or the other.
Well, as I say, our aim is not to fuel political, infighting, factions, civil war, anything like that.
Very well, then. Then you are led from the what you assume is the command post and led back into the picket. It seems simpler for the moment to take you straight to the picket line, and so, for a moment, you, Kruger, are asked to go and wait with your friends and the coach, while you, Lady Siegfrieda, and Gerner are led to the picket line. You are led through the makeshift tents that are scattered everywhere. They're not all currently assembled, but this does seem to be where soldiers, you think, would be stationed if there was an impending attack. They're probably all kept in the barracks normally, but if there was an impending attack, they'd all want to be as ready as possible, so that's probably why there's loads of tents everywhere. You also think you can see just in the distance, Siegfrieda, what looks like a medical pavilion. It has the sigil of the Physicians' Guild. Granted, here the physicians will be army physicians, but even they still need to get their training from guilds. You're eventually led up to the wall. There are several stairways that lead upwards. The stairs creak as you walk up. You can see there are lots of gaps in the wall, and the wind is blowing through. This place has seen better days. But you are finally led upwards, and you can see what lies beyond the picket. Nothing. Nothing for perhaps a few miles, you think to yourself. Grey wasteland. Just stone and grey mountain pass. There is no foliage here, there are no features. The mountains themselves rise starkly to the east and west. But eventually, maybe, you don't know, 2 hours away, the mountains veer up to the south, and there is a little dark blot on the horizon. Look out, Gerner. Your vision begins to swim a little. The air tastes acidic, as you feel a little sick. You find yourself moving forwards. You are not moving forwards, of course, not really, but it's how it feels. As you zoom in on this dark blot on the far horizon, you think you can see something like a tower. You think you see green. And again, you feel sick in your stomach. How do you react to this, Gerner?
I first grasp to stabilize myself on the wall in front of me, and I gaze out there. It's never tugged at me quite this way. Not like I've suddenly been drawn in by the wind. Never like this. I've seen it, I've tasted it, sometimes smells, it's all different depending on the winds, but this and that green, excuse me, I try to focus in on it. I try to see more and see where it takes me.
Would you like to roll a coolness roll?
Sure. That's not a great roll. I will use 1 fortune. That is 1 degree of success.
You follow the vision. The winds of Dar begin to twist and turn around you, but they are not as you've experienced before. There is this different energy here. The energy of rot, the energy of decay, the energy of death, mingling with the Dar, and you head further to the dark green tower that awaits above the keep. And you head upwards and downwards and into dark tunnels filled with rot and bile and disease, and you feel your skin begin to itch as it melts from your face, and deeper you go. Please roll 1 more coolness roll, this time at a -10, as you feel something reaching out for you.
It would have succeeded without the -10.
The vision forces you to your knees, and you begin to vomit, Gerner. Please take 1 corruption. The priestess looks at you with alarm.
Gerner, what?
Are you alright?
I just throw up over the edge of the wall. It's a lot happening out there. Magic very foul. Very foul indeed.
The priestess comes over and puts a hand on your shoulder. Please, wizard, stop. This might be a bad idea. You mustn't... Are you sure you're okay? Maybe you should step away from this site. You've seen enough.
I don't worry. I'm not in there anymore. I was just trying to see a bit further than my normal vision would allow.
You yourself, Siegfried, look out. Suddenly. You do not see the swirling energy. You can't. But there is something dark on the horizon, and as you look at your friend, who luckily doesn't seem to have actually thrown up much, just dry heaved a little, but you look back and you hear a whisper on the air. Come, good doctor, come, good doctor, come. Such sights, come, good doctor, come.
I will, as I did in my dream, I will shake my head, but instead of focusing on the floor or on myself, I will focus on Gurner. He's unwell.
Please roll a coolness roll plus 10.
It's about time I got a good roll. Okay, that is a 4 under 56.
It is as you say, Siegfried. You focus on Gurner. The priestess says, well, there you have it. There is the brass keep. If you're wondering, this is the best we've ever been able to do. We cannot get any closer. Well, not without risk.
I straighten up and I nod to Siegfried. Thank you. I understand, of course. The question for us is, which path, if possible, would anyone travel if they were to try and smuggle supplies out there or up into the mountains?
Well, that is the confusing thing about your story. This is the only way there. No one can pass. I mean, well, they can, but they will die. So, I do not know how these people you speak of have been smuggling things at least to that keep. Unless there is some tunnel underground, maybe, but they'd be quite far away.
I look over to Siegfried. That was just what I was thinking. Some sort of tunnel. What else? It's not like it's... What was he speaking about? Airships? Would be anything that wouldn't be visible for several miles.
Who would want to fly over a blighted wasteland like that? Think of it. Imagine plummeting down onto it. I wouldn't trust not to be struck out of the air over a place like that. I'm trying not to concentrate on it. Let's get you back up to your feet. I think you've almost lost your centre there, Gurner, along with your stomach. Let's get you some water at least.
There was a green tower, tunnels, bile, disease, the foul black wind of Dar, but something else as well. I say these things even though they might not mean that much to you. But does it make sense to me that other wind, or whatever it was, could it have been some sort of connection to necromancy?
Roll law magic.
Alright, I'm going to use my last fortune point because this is all the rolling that we get to do. Roll magic. Yes, that's a success, just about.
I mean, it's hard to tell, Gurner. The problem is you haven't had first-hand experience with some of these things you've read about. Could it be necromancy? We're not sure. Dar energy is Dar energy, but you have encountered something familiar to this. Similar, not the same, but similar, when you encountered the lawyer and his spell residue, and when you encountered those demons as well. There was a strange blue electrical tinge to the magic. It's similar, in this case, to this strange, decaying green. Is this chaos magic? You do know that there are different gods who give different sources of power. Is this a different type of chaos magic? Different from the ones you've experienced before?
Yeah. I'm thinking of this to myself as we're starting to make our way, well, elsewhere. It still would be the best if we could try and think of a way to look for any sort of underground passages.
Indeed. For now, you have only your thoughts as your investigation continues.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign, The Enemy Within, for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this fourth part of the series, we are tackling the Horned Rat. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Ager Sonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambience. We'd like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, and Lily for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay bonus campaign, Rough Nights and Hard Days, as well as bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Call of Cthulhu. On top of that, we also offer early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that supports what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real. And even if they were, well, the Emperor has already dealt with that threat.